Hi guys, welcome to Office Blokes React. I'm Office Bloke Dave.
I'm Office Bloke Mike.
Office Bloke Daz.
Together we are the Office Blokes.
Yes, we are.
Yep.
It is a true factual statement. How one soldier wiped out an entire enemy squad in Fallujah. Did you react to the... were you here when we did the game that was banned, that was never released? It was a Patreon request. That was called something like... Wasn't it like A Day in Fallujah or something?
It
was a first-person shooter.
It
was just very real, and it was based on Fallujah. It wasn't some fictional place.
Yeah, you're right.
It was a bit close to the bone.
They were struggling to get it out, I think, weren't they, on general release?
Yeah, I've not seen it.
Because of it, because it was about that particular incident.
Most games like Call of Duty and stuff like that, they kind of create fictional places that are a lot like places. So you're not shooting a specific person, if you know what I mean. Yeah. But that one was actually Fallujah.
I think it was a bit too real, wasn't it, in the end, for
to
get it out on the market. So
it was interesting. I'll go and find it after you watch this. But yeah, how one soldier wiped out an entire enemy squad in Fallujah. Let's do it.
I have a question for you. Do you think courage is something that is innate to a person, or is it something you can train up on? This true story about a very unlikely hero might make you rethink your answer. Before David Bellavia enlisted, he said, quote, "I was once considered the weakest link. I was the son that had to be sheltered and protected," end quote. He was born in 1975 in Buffalo, New York, and by the time he's in his early 20s, he was completely lost in life. Jobs weren't working out, college wasn't for him, so he's living at his parents' house, unsure of his future, when an incident happens that changes his life forever. So his parents' house gets robbed by a couple of crackheads. He ran downstairs to try to grab his father's shotgun, but when he picked it up, he realized he had no idea how to use the shotgun. So then he grabbed a baseball bat, he ran back upstairs, and he was gonna fight off the intruders, but he realized he didn't really have it in him, and he was frozen in fear as the two robbers ransacked his home. He knew in that moment that he needed to turn his life around. He decided what he needed to do was go down and enlist as a regular infantry grunt, hoping that the army could be the positive change in his life that he was looking for. Bellavia is deployed with the 2nd Battalion, 2nd Infantry Regiment, 1st ID, and they're stationed outside Fallujah. At this point, he's a squad leader, responsible for the lives of his soldiers. They were already engaged in months of fierce close quarters fighting. Bellavia was no longer bothered by fear. He was fueled by it. By this time, he had transformed into a reliable leader. The Second Battle of Fallujah that Sergeant David Bellavia was about to participate in would be one of the bloodiest battles involving American troops since the Vietnam War. There were at least 4,000 enemy insurgents in the city that the US military would have to contend with. This enemy force had had months to prepare the city's defenses in advance of the attack. His platoon was tasked with searching and clearing houses in Fallujah. When they approached the infamous house, Sergeant Bellavia stayed outside and looked through the window so he could see if any enemies were going to try to shoot at his platoon when they entered. And his platoon began clearing the house, and they took intense enemy fire. Bellavia couldn't see where the enemy position was from outside the house, so he sprinted inside, and he quickly realized just how bad the situation was. The two enemy insurgents were entrenched behind a staircase. They're hiding behind a half-ton concrete Jersey barrier. One of them has an AK-47 and the other has a belt-fed PKM machine gun. Sergeant Bellavia is really kind of impressed at how prepared the enemy kill zone is. They're not dealing with amateurs here. Several of his platoon are already wounded at this point, and the insurgents are mocking them in English. But this was a huge mistake. All it did was serve to piss him off. And Bellavia's best friend, Sergeant Fitz, was across the hall, and he could see that he was bleeding. When he looked at Fitz, he saw on his face that it was the closest he'd ever seen to his buddy being actually scared. And seeing that almost unnerved him for a second. But he had to hide it because he knew if his squad saw even a hint of fear in him, then they would be done for. It was the perfect ambush, and they were right in the kill zone. The walls separating his squad from the enemy gunfire was slowly getting chipped away by the 7.62 rounds. He knew once those walls broke, they would be massacred there. And this is one of those moments soldiers have faced for thousands of years. Momentum and fear in a battle can change everything. He recognized they would all be dead soon if someone didn't do something. He knows he can't throw a grenade in there because they could throw that grenade back. He knows they can't flank the enemy position because they're indoors and all entryways are cut off. So what he does is unbelievable. He has one of his teammates go and grab an M249 saw with a 200 round drum. And he tells...
Do you know one thing I like about this channel? I love a storyteller who puts you in the room where he's telling it. The way he's telling his story, it's as if it's him.
Yeah,
isn't it?
True.
He's very engaging with the way he's telling the story with his voice, the way he's looking at the camera and all that. I know it's nothing to do with the actual what it's about.
Yeah,
but he's just engaging with the graphics he's doing. He's painting a really good picture in my head.
It's concise as well, isn't it?
Very concise. It's just I'm there in my head. I'm there.
Yeah,
I can see it.
There's not a lot of fluff here. It's literally telling the story as it needs to be told.
Was some of this story in that video that we saw?
I think so.
Fallujah?
I was thinking the same.
Because his name rings a bell.
Oh no, not that one because I wasn't here. But I think we've seen something similar with this.
Yeah. Yeah, just
this
the
one
name
guy.
rings a bell, definitely, you know, the guy's name.
I think, is the one you're thinking of the one where the guy was he was a drug addict, though, and then joined the military and then ended up getting killed?
Don't think that was the one I was thinking of.
Sure.
There was one that all three of us watched.
I remember that one,
I know what you mean.
Yeah, he ended up being an absolute hero, but he went through loads, didn't he?
This guy's got a great storytelling attitude towards the video he's talking about. He's got me proper engrossed in it.
Yeah, definitely. It explains it so well.
Yeah.
Really does.
It's crazy that there's one way in and one way out to where the enemy is at this point. People are injured, people are pinned down. Like, short of him going out and getting up to the second floor through a window and just taking everyone out, if he goes the same way as his guys, you'd think he's just going to get ambushed, he's just going to get shot.
Yeah.
Like, when they've been going through the options, I've been trying to think, what would you do?
Go through the kitchen and then that way, right?
Yeah, possibly.
I don't think there's a way to get in the kitchen, just unless you go back out the building and then in through the kitchen.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You'd have to enter a different way, wouldn't you?
Yeah. Either way, it takes balls of steel, doesn't it?
Yeah, just a bit.
He knows he can't throw a grenade in there because they could throw that grenade back. He knows they can't flank the enemy position because they're indoors and all entryways are cut off. So what he does is unbelievable. He has one of his teammates go and grab an M249 saw with a 200 round drum. And he tells his platoon to peel out and leave on his mark. And what he does is he steps out, directly exposes himself. He entered straight into the fatal funnel of the room, and he starts firing. He goes cyclic with the M249. And he expects them to shoot him right away because they've got the drop on him. But they're completely caught off guard and surprised by this insanely bold move that he pulls off. And this allows his platoon to break contact and exit the house to safety, so they're able to tend to the wounded. Bellavia's shooting with the saw. He's keeping the enemy's heads down behind the Jersey barrier. And he forced the enemy to take cover. He knows that there's still a threat inside the building, and he needs to clear that out. So while everyone else is getting to safety, Bellavia eliminates another enemy with an RPG in the building. He wounds another insurgent who retreats into the darkness of the house. Sergeant Bellavia decides to charge into the house alone. He had no idea if he would make it out alive. All he knew was he needed to neutralize the threat to his fellow soldiers. He exchanges gunfire in a bedroom on the first floor with one of the enemies when a third enemy comes downstairs and confronts him. At this point, the second wounded insurgent comes back into the room and Sergeant Bellavia eliminates him. The insurgent from the bedroom just barely escapes upstairs, and he charges up after him, not knowing how many enemy are up there. He tosses a grenade into the room where the enemy fled to. And when he looks inside the room, he sees there's propane tanks and explosives everywhere. He puts his rifle down to avoid blowing the whole place sky high. Then suddenly the enemy jumps down from the rooftop onto him. From the citation quote, "Hearing the two insurgents screaming from the third story of the building, Bellavia put a chokehold on the wounded insurgent to keep him from giving away their position. The wounded enemy then bit Sergeant Bellavia on the arm and smacked him in the face with the butt of his AK-47, end quote. Bellavia was able to pull out his knife and eliminate the enemy insurgent. At this point, 5 members of the platoon entered the house and took control of the building. Soon after that, air support arrived and his division left the area. Actions on that day are credited with saving the lives of his entire squad. Originally, his actions earned him the Silver Star, but on June 25th, 2019, The President of the United States retroactively awarded him the Medal of Honor, making him the first living Iraq War veteran to receive it. Listen to this part of his amazing acceptance speech.
We have been honed into a machine of lethal moving parts that you would be wise to avoid if you know what's good for you. We will not be intimidated. We will not back down. We've seen war. We don't want war. But if you want war with the United States of America, there's one thing I can promise you, so help me God. Someone else will raise your sons and daughters.
Wow.
So no, I don't think a soldier is born with courage. I think they can find it along the way. He stepped into that role. He was able to fill those shoes, and he learned the skills that he needed to get where he wanted to be in life. And to me, that's an inspiration. I hope you guys like the story. Please share this video with someone you know that might like it as well. And if you look at what he's done since he's gotten out of the Army, he's done nothing but advocate for veterans. He's been called the Audie Murphy of our generation for a really good reason. And he's just an unapologetic Iraq War veteran. I know this video is kind of different than what I usually do, but I really love this story. I read his entire book, House to House. If you get a chance, check it out. Task and Purpose out.
Wow.
Good channel.
Great
channel.
That must be one of so many missions that you went out on. It's just, you know, that one was sort of extraordinary, but it's not going to be the first time he kicked down some doors and went in. You know,
if I won that medal, I'd never take it off.
It's so deserved. I mean, these guys got some balls, haven't they? They really have. I mean, the courage and determination they show these guys. It's absolutely incredible.
He looked extremely proud when he was getting the medal.
I bet he
big
was.
time.
Yeah, so
That's
it should be
a
as
massive
well.
achievement, though, for what you're doing for the military.
Yeah.
You know, to get awarded that.
I think just getting you guys to safety is probably it, isn't it? But then anything that comes after that is just
exactly.
Yeah,
He's done what he needed to. He's being awarded for what he's done.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
he wouldn't be thinking about that when he's doing it.
No, not at all.
His first thing is
from his
get everyone
mind.
out there.
Get everyone out, safety of his troops. That was the main objective at the time, wasn't it?
What a good channel.
So
really enjoyed that.
like I say, he told it really well, didn't he?
Great story.
Good, concise, you know, good tone, brilliant.
Yeah.
We'll have
really
to do more of that channel then.
100%.
Of course we will, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Hope you guys enjoyed that too. Don't forget like and subscribe. We'll catch you on the next one.
Cheers, guys.